Let me ask you something right off the bat. How are you feeling right now in this space? Comfortable? A little cramped, perhaps? Maybe someone's phone light is burning a hole in your peripheral vision. We've all been there, right? Or maybe you're just feeling a little bit restless for the coffee break, which is coming up right after me, so hang in there with me, okay, because I want one too. All right, so my fascination with space started when I was just 9 years old. And no, not the kind with rockets. My kind of space started in my own wardrobe. One day, I decided to convert it into a photo booth. It's not funny. So I hung a curtain between the two open doors. I popped in a stool, and I recorded the sound of a camera clicking on my Sony tape cassette recorder. I charged willing, gullible friends 10 pence each for the experience, and then I flashed a torch in their face 4 times before rapidly sketching some photos that I popped under the door. This is true. And what I discovered, even back then, was something important. If you can imagine and shape a space, even a tiny one, you can change the way people feel just for a moment. And I bet I'm not alone in this. Who else here built forts, dens, or clubhouses as a child? Wow, okay, wasn't expecting that. From childhood hideouts to hospital waiting rooms, the spaces we occupy shape everything. Our moods, our behaviours, even our relationships. Every day, all of us here encounter so many different types of spaces, from when we wake in our homes, to when we work, rest, or travel. Just think for a moment about the spaces that you occupy daily or weekly. And more importantly, how they make you feel. Let's take the hospital waiting room. Anxiety, apprehension, boredom, that awful mix of fear and fluorescent lighting. Or even this space right here. Go on, have a wiggle now in your chair. You have my permission. Upright, aren't they? I think actually the dean's here, but I think they're designed to keep students awake, aren't they? So why does space matter? Space is never neutral. It whispers to us. It nudges us. Sometimes it outright yells. Let's look at 3 types of spaces that shape us, from when we work, to travel, and for healthcare. Raise your hand if you've ever worked in a grey or beige space somewhat like this. Whoa, I wasn't expecting that. Okay. I bet none of us here ever dreamt of growing up to spend 37 or more hours a week sat in a neutral box like this. I will concede, though, that the show Severance has made the cubicle look disturbingly chic, right? So back in the 90s, which was a while ago, I worked for Sony, helping shift the company from analog products to digital services. But we couldn't just change the tech, we had to change the culture. So we started with the space. One weekend, with almost full team buy-in, and I say almost, we removed all of the cubicles. And we brought in a really large beechwood table, a curved glass wall, and wheeled drawer units with leads that looked a little bit like obedient dogs. At first, chaos. People panicked over where to sit. They wheeled their drawer units around, clinging on to their need for a fixed space. Trinket withdrawal was real. But then, something shifted. Conversation started flowing. People relaxed. We were smiling. And soon, other departments came to see what was going on, peeking through the glass as if we were in a zoo, before scurrying back to their management to request budget to do the same. The space had changed fundamentally, and so had we. And now, post-COVID, we're all rethinking workspaces. Co-working spots are popping up everywhere, like here in Winchester, offering flexibility in terms of time, scale, and forms of utility. But some of us have swapped the long commute for digital burnout, and we face a new challenge of being always on. And so we work from home, and we carefully curate our Teams or Zoom call backgrounds to hide our rogue pets or our wash piles, don't we? And that's thrown me now. Yeah, the rising trend of background shame. And we find ourselves in the same awkward situation of being in the same virtual waiting space when we're eventually admitted from that liminal space that is the online waiting room, that powerful space. And there's been rebellion, with employees rejecting a mandatory 4-day-a-week on-site working policy recently at advertising giant WPP. So ask yourself, does your workspace give you balance, inspiration, privacy, or are you just tolerating it? And so we need a change. We need a break from this intensity. Let's talk about holidays. Why do we get so excited about hotel rooms that have freestanding baths or tiny soaps? And no, I have never stolen a tiny soap or slippers or a bathrobe from a hotel room. Have you? Known as the everyday philosopher, Alain de Botton talks about the juxtaposition between our home and travel spaces as escaping our habits of mind. And what we find exotic abroad may simply be what we're missing at home. Even trying to find where to sit on a beach is a subtle act of emotional spatial strategy. Not too close to strangers. Close enough to the amenities. Checking the tide, approaching our sunbed so that the waves don't steal our flip-flops at the end of the afternoon. And don't we like to take selfies in holiday spaces, aided by the emergence of very large sculptural letters, like those that you see in front of the Rice Museum in Amsterdam, by the harbour in Palma, Mallorca, and even at events like this. But the popularity of these letters has led to over-tourism and overcrowding, resulting in Amsterdam of their removal and relocation to the railway station and the airport from 2018 onwards. But our holiday spaces certainly allow for a different version of us to emerge. More daring, more creative, more bold. We wear that bikini that we wouldn't wear here. We pop on the Hawaiian shirt. But the most emotionally charged spaces, hospitals. For the past 6 years, I've been studying the effect of hospital waiting spaces on patient well-being, especially in cancer screening and gynecology centres. I wanted to understand how patients really feel when they're waiting in these spaces. So I observed, I sketched, I listened deeply to real stories. And what I discovered was profound. Yes, they talked about lighting, decor and noise. But what truly affected them? A lack of privacy, a loss of agency, a threat to their identity. Imagine overhearing someone's diagnosis from 2 chairs away, not knowing where to sit because the chairs are so close, or feeling overwhelmed by a wall of alarming clinical posters. These are not just inconveniences, they're sources of distress, and they hit you when you're already vulnerable. But it doesn't have to be this way. Imagine a space that calms you, that gives you clear, compassionate information, that gives you you can choose how and where you sit. Space can heal, or at the very least, it can help. So, what next? How can we rethink our spaces to make them work for us and not against us? 2 key ideas helped me. Design thinking is all about empathy. Walking through a space in someone else's shoes. Ask people how they really feel about the spaces they use. Your friends, your family, your co-workers, your patients. And third space, and bear with me, this one's a tiny bit philosophical, but Henri Lefebvre, the 20th century French philosopher, said that space is never static. It's alive. And he broke it down into 3 forms. The first space is the physical space, the space you can see and touch. And the second space is the imagined space, the space of plans, ideas, and designs of a space. But the third space is the lived space, the real social and emotional experience of being within a space, because that is what stays with us. That is what we carry. So, what space are you in? What rooms, buildings, or digital boxes do you occupy? And more importantly, how do they make you feel? Because space isn't just background. It's a co-author in our daily story. And if you can shape it with empathy, imagination, and intention, we don't just build better spaces, we build better lives. Thank you.